What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of In the Wild. I'm Ray Sean, and today we have a really cool episode at a special location. Today, we are inside of the garage at the Georgia Cyber Innovation and Training Center here downtown, and I am very excited because first off, this is actually where our podcast got started. So the space has changed tremendously, and we're going to talk about that in our episode. But yeah, in the room that we're in, our podcast was born. So if you go back to our season 1 and listen to those episodes, they're all filmed here. So really excited to be back in this space, and it has changed quite a bit. Like I said, you're going to be able to learn about all the cool things happening. So first up, because it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we have some very special guests. First up is Rod Arthur, who is the Director of Cybersecurity Operations, and he is bringing a student assistant for our Security Operations Center. His name is Owen, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the work they do and how they keep us safe here on campus from all the cyber attacks and phishing and ransomware and I guess everything else. I'm not a cyber person, but it's really cool. So we're going to learn about that, and we're going to learn more about the Makerspace because it's a really cool space, and you have a little surprise for me as well that I want to be able to share with you guys. So I hope you're ready, Jack Nation, because here we go. Welcome, Rod, Owen, to In the Wild. Today we are inside of the Makerspace. Excited to have you guys both here. But I guess to get started with you, Rod, as the Director of Cybersecurity Operations, I'm kind of curious to see, because you've seen probably a lot of things here over at the Cyber Center, but also just as the university has been growing. So I'm kind of curious if you could tell a little bit about your journey into cybersecurity and I guess a little bit about your role.
All right, yes. So I've been the Director of Cybersecurity Operations for a little over 4 years now. And prior to that, I had a career with the federal government where I got exposed to cybersecurity for pretty much the last 15 years of that role, working out at Fort Eisenhower now. I retired from that position in 2020, right in the middle of COVID, and actually started here the day that Augusta University went remote.
Oh, wow.
So that was quite exciting and an interesting
first day
transition. Yes. I was in the auditorium for orientation. About an hour in, they walked in and said, everybody needs to spread out 6 feet. And after this orientation today, you're going to go home and your supervisor will let you know what we're going to do or how you're going to do your job. And
oh, wow.
so my supervisor texted me, met me for lunch, brought me a laptop and a telephone and a cell phone, and told me to go home and we'd figure it out. So that's how I got started here. But one of the things that we did in those first months was actually build the operations center here on the second floor of the Schaffer McCartney building. So when I arrived, it was just a concrete slab, nothing in the space. And then over those next 4 to 5 months, we watched that space become the operations center that it is today. And we opened up in October of 2020.
That's really cool. And I've seen the space, and it's a really cool space as well.
It is.
And Owen, shifting to you, it's great to have you here as well.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, and I guess I'm kind of curious to hear from you, like, what kind of sparked your interest in the cybersecurity field?
So for me, my dad also worked, he was in the military, and then he served in the federal government for several years. So as a child, I had a very early exposure to the cybersecurity field. I was always around people that my dad worked with, just members of the cybersecurity community here at Fort Eisenhower. So for me, it was always kind of ingrained in me to maybe go into this field involved with computers. Always been interested in them, tweaking with them, working with them, just messing around. And so when I transferred here to Augusta University, I heard that this had one of the best cyber programs in the country. So it was a no-brainer.
And for you, you also get to work here as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about the work that you do?
Yeah. So right now we do cybersecurity analysis for the Greater Augusta University, which includes the WellStar Health System. Within that, you have the cancer centers, you have the Roosevelt Warm Springs. So I take a lot of pride in being able to serve that community. You have an entire infrastructure of people that rely on Augusta University for their healthcare. So being involved in that community and being able to serve and protect that in a way and give back to the community that raised me, I'm very proud of it.
And I'd like to talk a little bit about those opportunities students have.
Yeah.
So we started bringing in student assistants as soon as we opened the doors. Actually, before we opened the doors here, we actually had some space over in the annex building and brought in our first interns that summer of 2020. But right now we offer student assistant positions, and we bring in up to about 12 students per year. We like to have them in there for a full year. These are the paid student intern or student assistant positions. A thing that we're piloting for this fall semester is we created a position for a one semester cybersecurity internship for students, where they would actually receive course credit for working in the SOC for the up to 15 hours. They need to work 15 hours a week and pretty much do what our other student assistants learn how to do in the SOC and get that course credit. We weren't sure if there was going to be much interest in it. We posted the position on a Friday, and by Monday I already had 8 applicants, and we're up to like 25 applicants. So we're going to start those interviews this week. So the other thing that we started this summer was we created a position, a non-paid position. Again, that course credit position is non-paid, but they get the course credit. We also just opened up an unpaid position where if you have, the first interest in this was we had people that may not go to school here at Augusta University, but they're from Augusta or the CSRA, and their parents may actually work here at AU. So they were looking for summer internships. So one way to do that was to create a position that was unpaid, but they could still come in, work throughout the summer, and gain that experience. So those are some of the opportunities we're offering, and it's really starting to pay off.
That's really cool. And I guess, what is it like to see so many students, especially from, I guess, the AU perspective and the School of Computer Cyber Sciences, but also students that may exist just out in the Augusta area, all being interested in coming to work with you guys? What is that like?
It's been really good. I mean, so the student experience, I've really taken that to heart. When I was a student in college, I started to work for the federal agency I went to go work for as a student. They had a co-op program, cooperative education program, where I alternated between semesters of work and school. It took an extra year to graduate, but at the end I had a year and a half's experience, did 5 tours out in Maryland, and then I had a job waiting for me when I was graduating. So based on my experience there and now being able to provide a similar type of experience for students here and how that's going to help them as they graduate, start interviewing and looking for that first job, this experience will really pay dividends for them.
I love that. And what has that experience been like so far for you, Owen?
To be honest, it's been pretty invaluable. So the experiences that I've gotten in the past 7 months, 6 or 7 months of my internship here, I have learned more about computers, cyber, just everything technology related than I have in my entire formal education.
Oh, wow.
And that's not a knock on Augusta University at all. We have the best faculty and staff possible set up here, but it's more of a credit to the program that Mr. Arthur and Heather Roskowski have built.
I love that.
And I'll mention the internships bringing in students from other schools. So we brought in a student who is graduating from Chattahoochee Tech and one from Augusta Tech, and they're in the cybersecurity field from their technical colleges, and they're now coming to Augusta University. They're going to start in the fall to get their bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. So it's really cool to kind of see a couple of students come in. This was kind of a trial as well to see how it worked out. It has worked out really well for the summer. So we hope to continue that, provide that as an opportunity for other schools.
And the digital world is always changing. It's changing at a rapid pace, as you guys know for sure. And I'm kind of curious to hear from you, Rado. How do you, I guess, kind of teach students to keep up with everything that's changing, especially at such a quick pace?
So we actively engage the students in, so what we are doing on the operations side is where me and where Owen is focused our attention is on incident response. So security incidents occur, unfortunately, on a regular basis because you can put as many controls in as you possibly can and still provide a nice work experience for the population of Augusta University. But human nature is human nature. You're going to end up having people that do things that end up being security incidents. And these students are actually engaged in those incidents. And we have after action reports or after action report meetings where we sit there and go through every incident, talk about how it happened, how we responded, and is there anything we can improve in our processes to maybe prevent that from happening again, or from maybe responding quicker than we did. And so they're actively engaged in these conversations. They may have been the ones that actually discovered the incident. So, we have 3 full-time analysts, AU employees working in operations. There's a SOC manager and 2 full-time analysts. And then they're supplemented by anywhere from 6 to 8 student assistants or other interns, SkillBridge interns we also support. They are really the triage analysts. They're the ones going through the alerts, going through the logs, trying to respond to things that they can, that they now understand, or bringing it to the senior folks to address. So they're actively engaged in that process.
And how would you say the landscape of cybersecurity has changed over the, past couple of years? I'm sure things have grown a lot since when you started here in 2020.
Yes, it has. Everything's become digital. AI is a big concern right now. I won't say it's a concern. It's exciting to see AI becoming a reality. We've heard about it for 20, 25 years. So, it's the future. And now it's kind of here. And it can be used for a lot of good. It can also be used for bad. So just like the internet. So there is concern about it being used to generate malware that may be more capable than some of the other generated malwares that we haven't seen in our environments. So there's always a concern with the technology. Technology is changing so quickly. The tools that we have to use to try to keep up, they're not cheap. It's an expensive business to be in cybersecurity. And we have a very robust set of tools that we've morphed through a couple of different tools since I've been here in the 4 years. And we're constantly looking at new tools that are out there and what's available to help us do our jobs quicker, easier, faster. So there's a lot to keep up with in cybersecurity. There's a new threat created every day. So you think you've got things covered, and then you walk in on a Monday and you realize there's something else out there that now you have to deal with.
What are some of the common, attacks, for lack of a better word, that y'all, come across or see?
You want to answer?
So the biggest one right now is ransomware. Ransomware has grown exponentially within the education and healthcare sector, mostly because it's completely financial based. The healthcare industry, they can't afford to just halt service, so they're more willing to pay out that ransom to the threat actor. So threat actors can demand anywhere from a couple $1,000 to several millions of dollars, and there's no guarantee that the threat actor will release those files back to the user. So if an enterprise like Augusta University or the healthcare system were to be attacked by that, it's a huge threat.
And that's one of the biggest concerns that we have here as an entity, is to protect against ransomware. That was 2 to 3 years ago. There was a concerted effort. We were notified through federal intelligence agencies that there was going to be a concerted effort from some of these foreign state actors against our healthcare system utilizing ransomware, and it did ramp up across the healthcare industry. They go after, low-hanging fruit. They try to find the easy targets. We try to build as strong of a shell around our systems, our data. It's really the data that they're after. So we're not an easy target, and knock on wood, we've been successful so far and not had any ransomware attacks. Another thing that we're challenged with are it's phishing. A lot of phishing emails. You hear about phishing emails. You hear now smishing. That's your SMS.
Smishing?
Smishing. So that's a term you may hear. So if I'm sure you've received texts that are phishing text. trying to get you to click on the link that they've texted you, which will take you to a website, which could download some malware, try to get you hooked on some type of money-making scam that they're trying to run. A lot of these are all based on that. They're trying to scam people out of money. And they target our workforce quite a bit. So it's not too difficult to go online and find the AU directory and see who works for who and develop, fake email accounts with that person's name and use that to phish people that fall under them. They think they're getting an email from their supervisor or somebody in their department. Makes it more likable that they'll click on the link or open the fake document or whatever it may be. So we've had this happen quite often. It happens on a regular basis. The amount of phishing attacks that come in it's every day. And
oh wow!
So there are times when people will get their accounts compromised. We went to multi-factor authentication a year or so ago, where you had to use Duo, you have to use your phone, and you have to acknowledge the fact that you're logging in. That's that second layer of security that we put in place so that an actor that may get your credentials, your login credentials, can't just log into your accounts. They need to get that authentication. But these guys are figuring out ways to get around that. And some people just accept the Duo pushes when they come in, unfortunately, which then grants them the access that they're looking for. Another thing that they've been doing recently, almost everybody's had their data breached in some way, whether it's through the MOVEit breaches that occurred, that pretty much every vendor that you seem to use in your personal life, somebody probably lost your data. So Social Security numbers are pretty much exposed. And most help desks will validate a person that's calling in by the last four of your social. Well, now those actors have those last four. So they'll call the help desk and they want to change their password or they want to add a phone to their Duo account. And they've got the last four. And so they can pretend to be that individual and try to social engineer their way into those accounts. So, like I said, every day there's something different that we're dealing with. This just came up recently over the last month. We had two incidents where the help desk with the last four of the social were utilized. So we're changing that process. You're going to see that soon, but there's going to be a different process now when you call the help desk on how they're going to validate the user.
I love to hear stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for those, I guess, who just aren't as tech savvy and maybe familiar with ransomware, phishing attempts, that sort of thing, like what would you say are just some general best practices or tips to help them be safe as it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month?
So I would say just always be vigilant. When you're on the internet, things can appear to be legitimate when they're not. There's a lot of different ways that you can disguise something that's fake into something that's real. I would say just never rush through anything, never rush through an email, no matter how busy you are. If you're at work or you're at school, you might be very busy. If you get an email, always double check. Always double check the sender. Always double check the actual contents of the email. And if you're not sure, just report it. 72cyber.
And if you are an employee here, you have to twice a year take your cybersecurity awareness training. And there's a lot of good information in there. And the phishing techniques that you can cue on that may be red flags, that this may not be legit, it comes out in that training. It'll tell you what to be looking for in these emails. And I know people are busy. A lot of people want to use their phones. You may not see all that information on an email on your phone. But, being vigilant, if you're not expecting to get an email from this person, just ask yourself that question, why am I getting this email? We also run, our cybersecurity solutions team, which is the counterpart to the operations team up in the SOC, they run the training twice a year. They run phishing campaigns. So we go out and phish the workforce.
Oh, wow.
And we get reports on, how many people are responding to these phishes and falling for them. And when they fall for them, they get a little pop-up that tells you just failed. This one's a phish. But we also offer, they offer remedial training, because when we do have real security incidents, because some of the examples we've had I'd say over the last year and a half, we've had these massive phishing campaigns. So if they're able to go in and compromise your email account, and now they're in your email account, they start setting up rules so that you're not aware that they're in there. So you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then they have already built up, these lists. And we've had the one we just had the other day, they pushed out over 5,000 emails into the environment. We've had them where they've pushed out over 20 or 30,000 emails into the environment. So now all these phishing emails are in the environment and in people's inboxes. And so that's our response. We're trying to get in there, get them cleaned out, get it blocked. And these actors are sometimes actively engaged while we're trying to block them. They're changing the subject line, because we're now blocking by that subject line. They're changing different things in their attack that we're trying to counter. So we're just like a cat and mouse game until we finally get them off the system, get all the emails cleared out. So it's a lot of work on our part. We've automated this where we can to try to get a quick notification when these types of things we're seeing the initial stages of these happening. So we're getting better at making sure that they don't hit the inboxes, but it's just one of the examples that we have to deal with.
Well, I definitely appreciate all the work that you guys do to make that happen and to keep us safe. But I'm also curious if there's like any more exciting projects that you guys get to work on at times.
Exciting projects.
Yeah.
From an operations perspective, our job is to respond to what's happening today. So it's really difficult for this group to get engaged in a lot of these long-term projects. I'm just trying to think. Our engineering team and our GRC team, the governance risk compliance team, are involved in other types of projects that are supporting the university and the health system. So I would kind of defer to them on some of that project type work.
I got you. And I'm also curious, like, what would you say are some emerging trends just in the cybersecurity world that people may not be familiar with, but are, I guess, on the horizon that we might know about soon or become more popular soon?
AI. I think we talked about AI a little bit earlier, but AI has become a huge part of our life as of like the past, not even 2 or 3 years. We went from having ChatGPT, it was kind of rudimentary. It was still amazing at the time, but now when you look at what we have now, it's amazing. You can really develop in a matter of seconds something that would previously take you, a couple weeks to do. You can build an entire program out in a couple minutes. That would take several days of working, several days of debugging. It can take you about 15 minutes now. So within cybersecurity, this isn't maybe exciting for us on the cyber defense part, but we talked a little bit about AI developing malware, viruses. You used to have people that would maliciously program these viruses, these codes of malware. They can just pump them out now, like very rapidly. And, it just writes it out. You can take it, put it in a file, send it out. And those mass phishing attacks, those are a very good delivery method for those. Success by saturation. You can send, 5 emails out, or you can send 10,000 out to, 10,000 individual people. So, maybe not exciting for us, like I said, but definitely a new thing to look out for.
And just to add one thing to that, we talk about the phishing emails. One of the things that we used to tell people to look for is you would get poorly written emails. They had poor English, they had misspelled words, grammar was wrong, punctuation was wrong. Very easy to pick up that this is not a legit email. Well, when a foreign actor wants to go in and generate something in English that sounds very legitimate, AI, ChatGPT, those are great tools that produce very legitimate looking phishing emails. So now we've kind of lost that one point that we could look for a phishing email, that these are just written in a way that most people would write something in English that you would not be suspect of.
And before I let you guys go, I'm curious to hear, like, is there any other like misconceptions about the work that you guys do that you kind of like to debunk before I let you go?
So we're always referred to as the organization that says no. So when people want to make changes or do things, and that's I won't say it's disappointing, but it's part of our job. I mean, we have to take a look at things from a security perspective, but we want to make sure that the requests that are coming in, the changes that people want to make, the tools that they want to use, the software that they want to load, we just have to review it, make sure that it meets certain standards. And if it does, then it gets approved and we get to use it. If not, then we try to find alternate solutions that could do the same thing that would meet the security requirements that we're looking for. So that's just part of the job. But it's good to help people understand that there are other options, and that everybody needs to really think about security. We do everything online now. Your whole life is online. All your banking, everything is, your transactions are online. Keeping yourself safe outside of work, keeping us safe inside of work. We just try to provide kind of that oversight and overview to provide you options that'll do that.
Do you have anything to add to that, Owen?
I guess the biggest misconception is that we're all hackers. Like, I'll tell people that aren't involved in the technology field. They say, "Hey, what do you do?" I say, "I'm a student in cybersecurity," and the first thing is, "Oh, so you hack?" I have to tell them, "Well, no. I mean, that's like maybe 1% to 2% of the cyber field population is people that sit behind a keyboard, the hoodie over their head, on a laptop, clicking away on the keys." It's not a very big population of cybersecurity. It's there's dozens on dozens of different concentrations within cybersecurity. Not all of them involve clicking on a keyboard 24/7 and wearing the hoodie in the coffee shop. We have GRC, which is governance, risk, and compliance. That's very much more policy based, not as technical as maybe penetration testing, which is the act of actively exploiting a network and being paid for it by the company. That's one of the biggest misconceptions is people don't quite understand what cybersecurity is, and I think within the community we need to do a better job of kind of informing people what the reality is.
And that is a good point. There are many branches of cybersecurity, and he touched on our GRC team. They do policy. They manage a risk register to understand the risks that we have identified in our environment. I mentioned the reviews they do of new software, new tools, any new contract being renewed. They review those from a security perspective. They're doing the training for everybody. And then we have our engineering team, which also falls under solutions. And they are the more technical folks that are dealing with the vulnerability management. So they're the ones that go out and run vulnerability scans across our environment, looking at it across all the workstations, all our servers, making sure that we have all the patches in place so that we're not vulnerable to known vulnerabilities that are out there. So they work with the other security controls. It would be our engineering team that would come up with, our multi-factor authentication as another layer of security. So there's many branches to cybersecurity. You have that engineering piece, you have that GRC policy training piece, and then you have operations sitting there looking at logs, responding to alerts, and doing the incident response as a result of that.
Well, thank you both so much again for being here and helping everybody be a little bit more aware of the work that you guys do and being a little bit more cyber safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for those watching, stay tuned because we got a little bit more coming for you when we come back.
Hi, my name is Bethany, and I'm excited to share with you about the Center for Writing Excellence at Augusta University. The CWE is here to assist you with all things related to writing, speaking, and composing. We help with any kind of paper, ranging from your first year English composition essays to lab reports. We also help with speeches and presentations for classes or outside events like conferences. Finally, we can also support you as you draft and revise multimodal assignments. These include things like PowerPoints, infographics, research posters, videos, podcasts, and more. You can come to the CWE for help at any stage in the composing process. We think some of the most productive appointments happen when students come before they've even started. During brainstorming sessions, we can review your assignment requirements, make sure you understand them, and then come up with a plan for drafting and completing the project. We provide feedback on drafts, help you with revisions, and help you understand professor feedback. Wherever you are in your process, we're here to help. So how does all this work? It's pretty easy. The CWE is completely free to students, and you can book up to 1 appointment per day during your time at AU. Sessions are typically one-on-one and last about 45 minutes. You can come see us in person or online. For online sessions, you can do a live video chat or opt to get written feedback from a consultant. The CWE is staffed by friendly peer consultants, mostly made up of AU undergraduates who have received training in the discipline of writing. We also have consultants who work with our graduate and professional students, as well as AU faculty and staff. The CWE is located on the Somerville campus in Algood Hall and on Health Sciences campus in Greenblatt Library. And of course, you can also meet with us online from wherever you're at. Learn more about the CWE on our website listed on the screen and follow us on Instagram at AUG_CWE. We can't wait to work with you and wish you the best on your AU journey.
Welcome, Lynsey, Aaron, to In the Wild, and thank you for letting us be in the Makerspace today. I guess just getting started, do you mind telling our listeners a little bit about the Makerspace or the garage?
I'm Lynsey Steinburg. I'm the Director of Innovation here at the Georgia Cyber Innovation and Training Center with Augusta University.
I'm Aaron Cummings. I'm the Makerspace facilitator here, and I work with Lynsey.
So yeah, I guess, Lynsey, to get started, do you mind talking a little bit about what the Makerspace is and how we can use it?
Sure. So the Garage Makerspace is actually a makerspace that is super unique to our university because typically makerspaces at universities are only available for students or maybe just faculty, depending on where their funding comes from. But we're really fortunate that the Garage Makerspace is open to the public and our community. So we have this true collaboration going on within our workshops. We've got 2 monthly workshops that happen. We have one that happens with Luke Steele, another one of our team members. He's a graduate of creative technologies. And so Luke focuses a lot of our electronics, a lot of our CAD design, whereas Aaron does some monthly workshops also in the evening on prototyping and skill development. So if you want to learn 3D modeling, if there's anything organic that he can help build and design, Aaron's the type of person where if you give him a challenge, he is not going to rest until he meets that challenge and finds that solution. So we have a very unique team that can help anyone, either from the community, local entrepreneurs, students who want to work on projects, or even faculty who want to prototype something.
And I guess just as Director of Innovation, do you mind talking a little bit more about your role just at large? So I think it's really cool as a university that we have a Director of Innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to take a step back and just talk to you a little bit. It's important to know that you can always pivot in your career, especially for our students or even faculty and staff. So I started back as a medical illustrator. I'm a graduate of the program here at Augusta University. So back in 2012, I graduated, but I started my own business and started helping other small businesses thrive. And then I got hired back into the university in mobile web app development, and eventually that evolved into a lot of our instructional innovation. And so I really focused on solving problems, whether it was from my time in medical illustration all the way to helping businesses. And even now as the Director of Innovation, we're constantly looking at problems and how can we solve those? Because innovation truly isn't just maybe what I hear on technology, trying to create a new piece of technology. We really have to look and see, well, what problem are we trying to solve first?
Yeah, because part of, I guess, your role is doing the annual Innovate competition, which I think is super cool. Do you mind talking a little bit about that
Sure.
for those who may be unfamiliar?
So the first thing, I want to thank you so much for being our MC last year at the pitch competition. You did an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the pitch competition is going on its 6th year, and it started back in 2019. We met a little girl named Emma, and Emma had a colostomy bag. And so her parents shared the struggles that she went through growing up through puberty, through high school, and not being able to go to her friends' houses, not being able to go to the beach and wear a bathing suit because she was struggling with this colostomy bag. And so we started thinking about innovation. The colostomy bag's an innovation itself. They were using plastic bags and duct tape. And then they came up with this new solution, and it was, voila, we've got this invention. But then with that invention came a whole slew of new problems. You had leakage issues or disconnections or just kind of the gas vapors, all these type of things. And when we looked at it, we said, why can't we solve this? We can bring in our chemistry department, we can bring in physics, we could bring in the medicine piece and really start to think about solving these problems. And so just understanding that we can do this, we together, we can solve those problems through that collaboration and innovation. And so that led to our annual student pitch competition, which is thriving. So we had 2 different tracks last year with undergraduate and graduate students. One of the most remarkable projects was actually a student that started in our inquiry class inside the Makerspace. And they wanted to challenge that they could solve this problem in the community. And it was the stinky smell that every once in a while happens in Augusta. And the students, Gigi and Caitlin, were runners. And so Gigi said, I want to solve this problem. We're affected by this monthly. It's got to be something that we can tackle. And so through inquiry class, all the way then through the pitch competition, she won as the undergraduate project. And now we're trying to collaborate with some of our manufacturing partners to see if the filtration process can be discussed a little bit further with Gigi and Caitlin.
That's really cool because the prize is to help them, I guess, really bring their idea pitches to life.
Yes. Our goal is to help support students, faculty, staff, whoever it might be, to help, whether it's through our Office of Commercialization or if they want to get a provisional patent. There are all these mechanisms in place that we're trying to grow, help, and support.
And Aaron, I'm curious to hear from you. What is it like to be able to work in this space and get to be creative all day and solve all the fun problems that come your way?
Yeah, it's super fun. It's something different every single day, which is really awesome. It's a lot of fun to be here, and it's always, we get a lot of walk-ins, and sometimes it's just straight up, say, I need to do this, this, and this, and it's something that we've done before and we do pretty often, like laser engraving. That's super popular, and then sometimes it's something crazy, like I need to build this box that holds this contraption, and I need to build the contraption as well. So it's, you never know what you're going to get, and it's super fun to be here and see all the new projects and see people's ideas come to life.
What would you say has been like the wildest project that has come across the space?
Oh man,
The wildest project?
The wildest
Yeah.
project.
For in the wild? Is
Yeah,
that
for in the
fun?
wild.
yeah.
So I definitely go back to Gigi, who prototyped her filtration system, not only with just cardboard and supplies as part of her expo project, but then even went further to incorporate the UV light and the things that she would need in this filtration system for her prototype.
Right.
But we've got, I would say, probably 2 prime examples of some of the things that we can do. One of our most popular workshops is a custom bobblehead. And so we actually have brought Ray Sean's custom bobblehead as an example here. This just seems to be, there's something so unique about having your own face
Yeah.
on a bobble.
Yeah.
And the head, it's just so wonderful. And we love bringing people together into these workshops, and they work side by side with everyone from different communities, different places all over the university. And just to have your own face be mapped and put on the bobblehead is really, really popular.
That was a super cool experience. Aaron, do you mind like walking through the process for those who might want to have their own custom bobblehead?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we start is we bring everybody in and they choose bodies. And we have a wide selection of bodies that you can choose from. And then they sit down and we put on some music, and it's pretty relaxing, and they just start painting. We use acrylic paints to paint them. And it's really fun. Everybody's kind of joking and messing around with it when they're doing it. And And I think the last group we had, they were passing bodies in between each other.
Oh,
so they
wow.
were painting like the shirt, and then somebody was putting a bow tie on it, and then they were just passing them
True
around.
collaboration.
So it was,
That's
yeah, it was
pretty cool.
super fun. While they're doing that, we have them come over and we use a medical scanner and we scan their face. We save that file, and then after they leave for the night, I'll sit down and I'll start 3D modeling. So I just add in a bunch of primitives. I take a bunch of pictures to make sure I've got good references for all their facial features and their hairstyles. And then I just spend the next couple of days 3D modeling. Once that's done, we send them off to be the printer or to use on the nylon 12 printer. And that takes anywhere from 9 to 12 hours to print. And once that's done, we send out an email and have everybody come back, and they can paint their faces as a group, or they can do it individually.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I got to experience for myself that there's a Rayshawn bobblehead out there in the world.
Yeah.
We'll probably take that back to our studio. So
Cool.
thanks, you guys, for helping make that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, are there any other cool projects that you guys have been
Yeah.
able to work on?
So something that we want to really convey is that support and that collaboration effort is so important to us. We were approached by a paraplegic, someone local in the community, and they were not happy with their splint currently and the design of it, and wanted to create a custom splint. So we were able to bring together occupational therapy students and some of the faculty there, and we 3D mapped and scanned his hand
Oh,
so
wow.
that he wouldn't have to stay here for the prototyping and sit still. Now we have a copy, a replica, so that we can start building and helping to design that custom splint with the help of our experts in occupational therapy. And I think projects like that really just, they're so rewarding because we can give back to the community, but also we can help enhance the experiential learning aspect for our students working on real world problems, because we really want to come together to achieve these solutions.
I just personally speaking, love the interdisciplinary collaboration of it all. Like you just mentioned, you have folks that maybe on the more health sciences side of things that get to come into space and use it to solve their problems. Folks that may be more creative and artistic, can come in here and solve their problems. Obviously, there's so many different cyber solutions that people can talk about as well. So I'm kind of eager to hear from you. Like, what has it been like to be able to touch so many different parts of not only Augusta University, but just the Augusta community?
I think that's what makes us thrive.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's really nice being in the makerspace and functioning in here, running all of the machines is super fun and super fun to get people into. But we really enjoy when somebody learns the machine and then takes off with it, and then they become the expert for everyone else in the building. It's super fun to see people kind of take that ownership and be that resource for everyone else inside the community in the makerspace.
Yeah, it's truly, we're not, I don't want to say siloed, we're not pigeonholed into one specific area. And so if it's our inquiry course, which brings in a whole slew of freshman students from all disciplines, to our workshops, which has community members, faculty, students, staff, some of our resident partners in the building, there's just a wide variety of perspectives. And so one student might be using and working with the team on 3D printing a challenge, and then another student will come in the next day and use it for something entirely different. So I always recommend to surround yourself with individuals who will challenge your perspective, because if you walk around all day long and they're just saying, you're doing so good, you're doing amazing, you don't change a thing, where's the growth and the opportunities in that?
Right.
So if you can, surround yourself by individuals with diverse perspectives, and you can definitely find that here in the makerspace.
When you guys were growing up and kind of choosing your career paths, did you ever imagine that you'd be in a role that you currently have?
Definitely not.
No, not at
Yeah,
all. No, it's funny. We were just talking about knowing that it's okay to pivot in your career. I'll let you share your
You want
story
me to start?
first. Yeah.
Okay. So I graduated in 2003 in New York. I went in the Marine Corps. I was 4 years as infantry. I got out. I went to SRS, and I stayed out there for, I think it was about 8 years. And then I wanted to pivot. I wanted to change what I was doing. So I started pursuing art, which I always had a passion for. And everyone says it, right? Like But I had a passion and I wanted to learn to draw and I wanted to learn more skills. So I tried to do that on my own as much as I could. And I realized I needed some like formal instruction. So then I started going back to college, and that's when I started going to classes at Augusta University. I took all my undergraduate course, or all my entry-level English, math, science, all that stuff. And I wanted all of my art classes at the end so that I could really just dive in and just be immersed, which I thought was super helpful. And I got to explore a bunch of different paths just because of that. But one of them was working with Lynsey for the mask making project. And we had, from my side of it, the way we heard it was we need volunteers to come in during COVID and work on a project with a bunch of silicone and liquid plastic. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds super interesting. I'll go ahead and sign up for that and see what's going on. And that we ended up working with Solvay. We ended up working with art professors, faculty, Textron, a bunch of other, it was absolutely insane. And we would come in every day at 8 a.m. and we would start making silicone masks. And then at 5 p.m. we shut everything down, started cleaning up, and then went home and did it again the next day. And it was super awesome. It was a really good experience. It was nice because all the, with art, we typically don't solve problems like that. But because a lot of the students had hands-on experience with a bunch of different materials, we actually were able to really get in there and be super helpful to like a creative problem. So it was really nice.
I think the journey from medical illustration, I was fortunate that I had a professor in my undergrad who gave out exams, and I asked, could I please draw my anatomical answers instead of writing paragraphs? And she said, absolutely. And then
I love that.
I still have a framed copy of the test that we did where I had drawn, and she had written in a quote, have you thought about medical illustration? And I'd never even heard of it. I was a senior in college. And I spoke to her and she said, this is going to be the hardest thing that you've ever had to do. And I was like, challenge accepted. It was an easy pathway for me to figure it out once I started doing the research in the field. But what I think is really important is Aaron mentioned the pivot in his career. Mine was the mask making effort during the pandemic. I never knew about the capabilities that what I could do if I brought people together to solve this problem. And we had over 60 individuals, many companies, healthcare workers, everyone who was working side by side. And there were no political barriers, right? It was the pandemic and everybody was desperate for resources and to share resources. And so it was really beautiful. And coming out of that, I realized I have a passion for this. I know that we can solve anything we put our minds to. We just have to bring the right people together. And it started down that pipeline, that pathway for innovation to start thriving. So while we already have a lot of successful in our commercialized in our biobusiness incubator, we have the opportunity now to start exploring pathways for students and then our community, helping them survive in underrepresented populations, veteran entrepreneurs, women in business, and working with our new downtown accelerator called Accelerate Augusta.
I'm always get so inspired from like hearing you guys and talking about all the cool things that you do for our students in the community. But I also want to know, if money and resources were no object, what would you say would the future look like for the Makerspace?
Oh my gosh.
It's going to get crazy in here.
Yeah. I mean, beanbags and waterfalls. And I think we always have a future goal for equipment, things that would help us thrive in additional ways, things we don't have currently. I do want to say what we have started is a sustainability program.
Okay.
So we work with local partners. Fort Eisenhower is one of our partners across the river, a railroad company, and they donate trash. And their trash is treasure to us because it allows students who maybe don't have funds for materials to work on projects. So we've got some wood donations, we've got metal donations, even cardboard boxes come in through the door. So if there are entities out there that feel like they have trash and it could be recycled in a positive way for student success, we're happy to partner with that entity. And so that's one thing. But pie in the sky, we're
high in the sky.
We're already busting out of space. So we definitely are looking at growing. But the dream machine, Aaron? Do you have a dream wish list item for?
I have one for right now,
Okay.
which is going to lead to another one. We do have a bunch of metal scraps, and being able to prototype out of metal would be super nice. So I want to get a CNC machine for plasma cutting, or even a wire EDM or something like that. I think that would probably be the immediate, just because that's where it looks like we're heading next.
Yeah, absolutely. So we currently have professional grade printers all the way to hobby level 3D printers. We have a huge CNC machine, laser engraver. We have a great medical 3D scanner. And then we grew from 4 3D printers to 16
Oh, wow.
in the course of the year. And so often folks will donate their broken equipment and we'll fix it and repair it and be able to use it for students.
That's pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
I'd say if there's anything on our wish list currently, they can definitely find it on our website, AugustaInnovation.com. We have a wish list on there with equipment that we're hoping to bring into the space in the future.
Okay. And what advice would you give to any of the future innovators out there that may be in undergrad or maybe graduate school, and they're saying like, hey, I have some ideas, but I just don't know how to make them come to life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually very common. How many times have you sat down to start and you just don't know where to begin, right? I see it a lot. And I often will tell you, just start. It doesn't even matter. Failure is okay, right? Every failure is just an opportunity to learn from that experience to be successful. I think it was Einstein who said he didn't make a light bulb. He knew
1,001 ways to not make a light bulb.
right,
Yeah.
something like that. And I think it's really important to understand that prototyping, designing, test, you're not going to ever get it right off the bat. There's testing, there's designing and redoing, and being a part of that collaboration. That's why surrounding yourself by the folks who challenge you with that perspective, they're going to bring something valuable into the conversation to help you move forward. But I promise you, at some point in your career, you're going to hear, that's just the way it's always been done.
I hate that.
Right. Or, no. I usually try and say, how about not right now? Or can we figure out a different pathway forward? Have you considered this alternate perspective? So how can we really reevaluate, take a step back and look at it again? So I would say sometimes those barriers, they feel really frustrating. But if you come and want to engage with the team, we can help you move forward.
And before I let you guys go, because you mentioned it a couple of times throughout our conversation, but just for those who want to become more engaged with this space in particular, what's the best route for them?
Yeah, so the most immediate would be to contact garage@augusta.edu. You can directly communicate with the team, find out how you can get involved. We have an ambassador program. We have a volunteer program. And then we have internships in the Makerspace also. So we have an incredible intern, Aiden Manahan, who's working with us right now. And he's working on projects with entrepreneurs in the community. So there's real hands-on experience here for career success when they go out into the field.
And you have a membership program, right, for those
We do.
in the public that
We do. So we're open to everybody. And so we've got veteran memberships, we've got government memberships, academic memberships. So if a student wants to come in, they can come in for $10 a month. A veteran can come in to our community for $30 a month. And then you do not have to be a member to attend our workshops. And all of that information can be found on our website at AugustaInnovation.com.
Well, thank you guys so much once again for letting us be here and to have this episode. Thank you a million times for my bobblehead. And yeah, thanks for all the work that you do for the community.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Rashawn, for
thank you.
having us.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much to the Makerspace for making a little bobblehead here. I don't know what to call him. We gotta give him a name. So if you have any recommendations, feel free to let me know. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you have an amazing Cybersecurity Awareness Month and you are staying cyber safe. For those watching this episode, and if you're an employee at Augusta University, you know what time of year it is. So complete your Cybersecurity Awareness training. And yeah, let me know what you think of this episode. Like, subscribe, do all those things, and tell us what things you do to help you stay cyber safe. And tell us if you're going to come use the Makerspace. Like they said, there are memberships, and they're always welcoming to students, faculty, staff, employees, the community. So be sure to check them out on their website. And I am going to go paint this little guy, and hopefully he can join us in the studio until you guys see me next. So until then, go Jags.